This is Mr. Young. I'm down in my workshop and I thought I'd go over a couple more things about the table saw. Before we get started, first thing, never wear gloves when you're operating the table saw. So I'm going to take my gloves off. Always put your safety glasses on, so let's clean them up good. A few more things about the table saw. You know where the blade is. This is called the rip fence. That's when you're putting a piece of wood through the blade on the fence, and it's actually ripping the board the long way. And if you wanted to rip it on a cross cut, which is across the blade, you would use the miter gauge, and you do it like that, and you cross it cut. Most of the time, you use you can use the miter saw, the chop saw, to do the cross cuts, but you can do them on the table saw. But most of the cuts on the table saw will be against the fence, over the blade, ripping boards the long way. One thing about the table saw, you should never rip round stock like this, round dowels, because it could have a big kickback. So never do round dowels. When you're setting the height of the blade, you should just do it just about above the teeth, above the material you're cutting. You don't want to go more than a ½ inch. So I like to say above the teeth, and then you can set the fence and just rip it through. A couple more things. If you ever have to change the blade, always disconnect the cord. Never have the cord connected when you're changing the blade. If the blade's missing a couple teeth, you need to change the blade, because you never want to run a piece through with teeth missing. A couple other things. We went over a cross cut and a rip cut, so you know those. There's one more cut called a dado cut or a rabbit cut. That's when you would cut a little piece of material out. You would go right over the blade, you'd lower the blade and just cut a little piece, and you could fit another piece of wood in there. Just so you know, we won't do that, but that's called a rabbit cut or a dado cut. So between what I just talked about and the video you watched yesterday, I think we're ready to play some Kahoot. What do you think?